Welcome back to part 2 of my The OA theory. If you haven't seen part 1, I highly recommend that you go back and do that first. And if you already did watch part 1, then we are just going to jump right in talking about OA's blindness. And the question that I posed at the end of part 1 was whether the blindness was real, and I said that I think it's a very complicated yes and no answer. There's actually a condition called cortical blindness that happens as a result of a blunt trauma to the head, like getting pistol whipped or smashing your head against the wall, which OA's mom talks about as having happened before. But the blindness will eventually go away unless it was a severe bang on the head that caused permanent damage. So even though OA has been in conditions that could have caused blindness, that doesn't seem to be the cause of it. But there's more than one type of blindness. King of the Hill made an episode called The Unbearable Blindness of Laying, where Hank experiences the real medical condition of hysterical blindness after seeing something horrific. In his case, it was his mother and her boyfriend together on the table. Yuck. Hysterical blindness is now called conversion disorder, and it happens when a neurological symptom, like blindness, occurs without an external cause, meaning the malfunction is not from a blow to the head, but more of a psychological issue where a person shuts their own sight off. Now, I'm not trying to say that OA is willing her vision on and off like a light switch, but something happened to her, maybe the van wreck, maybe something else, and something shook OA's mind so hardcore that her brain shut off her own eyes. Then she made up the story of the old woman on the other side just to justify the blindness to herself. When OA needed her eyes the most, which was once she realized that she could never escape Hap without them, her vision suddenly returned after another trip into the afterlife. And for all the research that we see the kids doing on OA's story, they never once try to look for missing person reports. OA isn't even shown as telling about the last names of her captive friends. Why would she give so many details and spend a fourth of her life with these people and not offer up their last names to anyone else? The captives were all calling out their addresses and relatives' names to scribble on a Verizon bill, but after that failed attempt, we're supposed to believe that no one said, "By the way, if any of us ever get free, tell them I'm Homer Smith so they know you're serious when you say you were held captive with me." This doesn't happen because the others didn't exist. They were figments of OA's escapism, a way to cope with being alone and tortured for years by having imaginary friends. And the really funny thing here is that OA finds a YouTube video of Homer's near-death experience, and it says Homer Roberts in the title. So even if she didn't know it before, she should know it now. But what is really fishy is that she searches Homer near-death experience, as if she had the name and she was just looking for a person to fit in with it. And take particular note that the OA watches this video before she ever tells anyone about Homer, so she could have seen this video and added it to her delusion in the aftermath to make it seem more realistic. Because if you have a person who's been sort of a local celebrity whose name is listed in a YouTube video from a major television network, then why do none of the recommended videos talk about him being missing? Wouldn't the name Homer Roberts be a keyword match for any missing person videos from the news or that their parents or family posted? Which means Homer Roberts probably never went missing. And that's why she doesn't tell the FBI guy anything about these other people. That's why she doesn't say anything to any other government official, because she knows in her heart that they're fake, but she doesn't want to admit that and let that story die. So instead she decides to share it and keep them all alive that way. And that's where the movements become very convenient for her story. Because if anyone ever does investigate her story, especially say the FBI, and they can't find any evidence of other people being held captive, then OA can just say that they've all transitioned into another dimension. It makes it so that her story can never fully be proven wrong. OA did not jump off a bridge to find her friends. OA is a mentally ill woman who has suffered a long-term event that she doesn't understand or know how to process. And once she was freed or escaped or whatever really happened to get her out of captivity, she was so disoriented, unable to separate the lies from reality, that she tried to kill herself. Which means that everything that her parents are doing throughout the series are the right actions to take to help OA with her severe mental illnesses. And OA pushes back against them so hard because a quarter of her life has revolved around living in this made-up story. So then, where did OA go at the end of episode 8? Did she die? Is she in a coma? Can the series even continue at this point? Well, I have no idea. I'd love to know what you guys think about it, but I'm going to hold my tongue and not form an official opinion about the final moments right now, because I think if we get a season 2, that's going to heavily define whether OA was telling a fantasy version of events or if her experiences were legit. Like I said towards the beginning, since we only hear the captive story secondhand from OA's mouth and we don't see it in real time happening, it leaves a lot of suspicion to be had. But then again, I guess a real angel would expect us to take a leap of faith and suspend our disbelief. But then again, if the movements are designed to take the users to another dimension, why did OA supposedly go while the group that actively performed the ritual stayed behind? I mean, OA flat out said that she'd go mad in captivity, and maybe she did, and maybe that's the whole story that we're hearing. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to like, subscribe, and share this video. I've also got a lot of other videos on my channel that you are fully encouraged to go check out. Plus, you can find me on Facebook at Say Halo Goodbye, which is my gamer tag, or Twitter at _Fanily.